Hello, unprofessionals. This episode is going to be just us, voicing our unpopular opinions. Some things we think that you might not agree with. That's okay. We don't agree with everything you think either. And this week's episode is brought to you by Sleeping Substitute Teacher. Yes, there are airplanes flying. Who knows what's going on? But that sleeping substitute teacher, they don't know what's going on. Kids wandering in and out. Kids sitting in the class who don't even belong in that class because they heard there's a substitute teacher there. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, sleeping substitute teacher, for bringing us this episode of Unprofessional Development. Please enjoy.
It's okay to be unprofessional. This is your teacher confessional. Real teachers' stories are real. You gotta laugh with the disco and meal.
Okay, welcome, unprofessionals. This is one of our Just Us episodes, okay? Just me, just Tedisco, and just you listening. Oh,
looking for justice.
Just looking for justice.
Yes.
There is three of us here, really. Me, you, and Tedisco, or me, Bob Marley, and a dog, and me. Is that right?
I don't know what we're talking about now. I'm feeling very uncomfortable and confused. Also, if you have other people in your car, they're not involved in this conversation.
No.
Tell them to cover their ears, and they have to say la 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 until this is over.
Yes.
It's just the three of us now.
It is just the three of us now.
We can make it if we try.
Oh, wow. So, we got some topics here. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to do what we do. Tangents. I don't know what the tangents are. We don't schedule the tangents. We don't put the tangents.
Well, if we scheduled them, then they wouldn't be tangents. I do know they're opposite over adjacent.
It is. They won't. I was gonna say there won't be any sines or cosines. All right, or secants or cosecants that I know of.
I had a kid who just figured out we're reviewing for ACTs, and I had to review with him what are secants, cosecants, and cotangents, and he was like, "This is so dumb. Why is this getting worse now?"
So, one of the things I got here is this is something I want to share with everybody because I kind of feel this way, and I had this conversation, and teachers don't always like it when I talk about this, but I'm gonna talk about it.
Unpopular opinion on unprofessional development.
Unpopular opinion, yes. So what I'm going to talk about is how many days we really don't work, because normally what happens is we're teachers. We get that.
That's true.
We Well, I mean, it's what it says on my, on the thing
on
there.
The W-2.
Yeah, whether we're actually like teaching or not, that's to be said.
Point.
But we are by teachers in name at least. So it's very usual to meet someone and you say, "Hey, so what do you do for a living?" "Oh, I'm a teacher." And not unusual for them, the first response would go, "Oh, summer's off, huh? You only work 10 months out of the year." To which most teachers get really defensive about that. "You don't understand what we do, and and it's so hard, and you just try it."
According to this one article I read in the New York Times, I work even more hours than most.
Right. So, yes, teachers work a lot of hours. Teachers don't have the entire summer off. We do things during the summer and all that kind of stuff. But just let's do a little math here. So, we are technically teaching, like the teaching part of it, right? At school, 180 days a year. The kids are there 180 days of the year.
If you have a full year class.
If you have a full year. Yes.
Yeah. If you have like a semester class or an A-day, B-day class, then it's 90.
Yeah, but the kids are at the building 180 days.
Agreed.
Well, they're scheduled to be there 180 days. Not all of them are. But anyway, mileage will vary by district, all right? But in our district and in our state for the high school, we have end-of-year testing and end-of-semester testing. So that takes up 5 days at the end of each semester. So that's 10 days that we're not teaching. We're just standing there watching kids take a test. And those are half days. We may have to stay past that, but basically we have like nothing to do, you know, and we'll talk about what we do during that time if we get to that later, but we don't have to really do much there other than say a little script a couple times and just stand there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really teaching.
And even in like the middle school or elementary school level, like a lot of them still have those tests, and it'll be a full day, but you know afterwards you're probably watching the Magic School Bus. Like,
right.
You know afterwards you're not going to do a deep dive into, you know, Joseph Conrad.
Right.
No teaching is really going to be happening that day.
And then, depending on how you set up your units and all that, but you have to have at least 4 unit tests per quarter, I would say. And some people have more than that. There are teachers who test every single Friday because they like not having to work on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there was one year where, like, I was in a certain content. We tested every single Friday. So, I know. But that's because the teacher who was in charge, they had set it up like that. And they're like, yeah, that makes life easy for us. So, of the 170 days that you take away,
mm-hmm.
so 1/5 of those they weren't teaching. But let's just say 8 per quarter.
Like 8 test days.
8 test days per semester. I'm sorry. So there's another 16
so
days.
We're down to 154?
Something
right?
like
How's
that.
my math, Mr.
Right,
Math?
we're down to 154.
154-esque.
Then there are random days where there may be an assembly. We in high school we have a test where we give ACT day. We give a PSAT day,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know. There might be another one in there, but so we can get it down to at least 150 or below 150. So
I'm gonna say 148.
148.
I'm gonna say six days for assemblies and assorted tests and things. Let's do it.
Alrighty. So then,
for those of us keeping score at home.
Yeah. So let's talk real.
So it's brass taxes. We need them?
So then there's review days.
Mm-hmm.
When you review for the final, how much instruction are you doing on review days for the final?
You mean Kahoot and Jeopardy days?
Yes.
And sometimes I do put a lot of prep into that.
Right.
But the day itself, no, we're not learning anything new.
Right. Or some teachers give a final exam review packet. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's, I'm going to guess at least, that's not counting like the review days for the unit tests that a lot of teachers have where they aren't instructing on that day either,
mm-hmm.
or minimally instructing on that day. So we're definitely down in the 130s now.
Yeah, that's a pretty comfortable assumption.
So, and there's 360 days in a year.
Accurate.
So roughly we're teaching 1/3 of the days.
Now, you also have to count into that too, snow days.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Days before vacation.
Ooh, days before vacation. Uh-huh.
I mean, because the day before, half your kids are missing anyway.
That's true.
Either because they didn't feel like coming in or because their parents decided to leave on a Friday because the tickets were cheaper. You got all the drills and things.
Yes.
Fire drills and lockdowns.
Uh-huh. Oh, and I don't do this because I'm a math teacher, but like some of the other teachers do, and some of them do this on the day before vacation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to show a movie day.
Movie days, absolutely.
So there's definitely some teachers that like will dedicate a whole block. We're just showing a movie. That's all we're doing.
So days after a break, a lot of times teachers won't teach
sometimes
there.
that first day back.
Sometimes I always jump right in, and my kids are like, "Why are we learning?" I'm like, "Because you're in school. It's literally why you're here."
Oh my goodness! Speaking of which, like the days before holidays, have I talked about teachers showing The Grinch? Have I mentioned that?
No.
Okay, so
the Jim Carrey Grinch.
I think so. You know, there's another day. It was the day before Christmas, a break, and I actually was teaching. We were going to do some stuff. We wasn't going to be like heavy lifting stuff, but we were actually going to do math that day. And I said, kid says to me, "So are we just going to watch a movie?" I'm like, "No, we're not just watching a movie." He's like, "We watched a movie in my other class." I'm like, "Oh, so now my interest is piqued." Piqued. I said, "So what movie did you watch?" "Oh, we watched The Grinch." "Oh, okay, The Grinch. It's Christmas time. All right. What class did you watch The Grinch in?" "Spanish class." "Oh, did they?"
So they watched it in Spanish?
"Did you watch it in Spanish? Because it was DVD days back then. Did the teacher click on the thing to have the DVD in Spanish?" "No." I'm like, really?
So you just watched if you're gonna do a movie, at least do something to make it educational. Like, multimedia is important.
Randomly tie into your content.
Right.
You know?
Don't ruin it for the rest of us.
I didn't know of a teacher that like had done the marine biology unit, and they watched Finding Nemo.
You better have a lesson prepared for it.
Yeah.
I have a handout for TED Talks. There's a handout for TED Talks that Ted makes. Use them. All right, so according to your math then, with all these things that we've tied in, what are we down to, like 120?
Something like that. Basically a third of the year that you're actually standing in front of a classroom.
It's roughly 60 days a semester, roughly 30 days a quarter. Really, 30 classes a quarter actually have to...
So the next time someone tells you, oh, summer's off, go, you don't know the half of it, brother. What? You think I just have summers off? Let me tell you about all the other time I have off. I really want to demean the profession, and I want you to know how little we actually do.
Now,
then again, Joe, let me talk about all the board meetings you're going to, and all the conference calls you're going to, and all the other nonsensical stuff that happens on your job where you're not working either.
Mm-hmm. When their internet goes down, they can just stop working.
Yes.
When our internet goes down, our job just gets harder.
Yeah. Or when it's Carla's birthday and we're going to spend the last hour or Ralph is retiring and we're going to have a 2-hour thing. Whatever it is they do at your job that kills time that you're not actually being productive as well.
Now, if I can play devil's advocate.
Oh my goodness.
No, worse. Teacher's advocate.
There you go.
Now, that does mean that there's a whole lot of pressure for those 30 days that we have to teach. Like, we really got to pack them full of stuff.
I mean, we have to cover the standards.
We have to, and it's not like I can tell them, hey guys, we're a little behind, you need to come in on Saturday. Like, that's not an option for me.
No, yeah. I'm gonna make this block twice as long. We don't work overtime with the kids. Yes.
Right.
So I guess some people just like, well, here's this. That's homework for you. I'm not teaching it to you. You're gonna have to learn yourself.
Here's a weekend packet for you to not do.
Oh, okay.
Have Google turn this in for me on Monday.
Do you have any good helicopter parent stories? Because I've got one.
Do I have a good helicopter parent story? I don't think I do, actually.
Okay. By the way, if you do have lots of good stories, or if you know a really, really funny teacher, normally I'd save this for the end, but if you know someone that's always telling you great stories, we want them on our podcast. Please, please, please. Email us. Figure out how to get in touch with us. We're on the Twitter now, at UnProCast. Do that.
And if you're worried about professional repercussions, send them to us. Just email them to us, and we will happily read them for the audience completely anonymously.
We can, or unanimously.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference between those two words.
Me neither. I'm not a good teacher. But yeah, definitely. I've spent my entire life taking credit for funny things other people have said. So I'm happy to continue my trend.
Yes.
It's gotten me this far professionally.
That's good.
And personally.
All right. This one was good. So there's helicopter parents.
Can you define helicopter parents for all the laymen?
Well, helicopters.
Helicopters?
Helicopters.
The helicopter
the choppers. Okay. The Hueys, as they call them in the Army, I think. Is that a thing still?
Let me search through all my Army knowledge.
So anyway, helicopters hover. Airplanes can't hover. Maybe, we should call them drone parents now, shouldn't we? Anyway.
No, that implies that they have some sort of independence.
Okay. So helicopter parents tend to hover. So they just are really, really involved in their kids to the point where it is borderline unhealthy or causing an issue for both the children and the people around the children because the parents are continually just there. So the one that just comes to mind, some medium and some are better than others, and some you understand. Sometimes kids have certain challenges and you go, okay, that's why this parent has become slightly overprotective because of the disabilities or the whatever unique situation it is with that child. But this is one that was constantly not just checking on their child, but they were just sending me way too many emails. And it just always comes back, this child, they were a sweet kid, and they have...
Roughly what age range of kid?
This was a 10th grader. And,
okay. So they're like 15, 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they had gastrointestinal issues. They had like irritable bowel syndrome or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so they would tend to miss class when it would be acting up. Mm-hmm. And all I need from the parent is, Susie's IB is acting up. Please send me the work.
Period.
I do not need to know how many times Susie's been to the bathroom.
Oh, no.
How many times she's thrown up.
Oh,
no. What the, consistency of her stool is. Okay. And then, for some reason, completely unrelated to that, though, then Susie also had an ingrown toenail, and it was infected, to which then she was relaying to me about the pus.
I know more about this child's health than I ever should.
I don't need to know about the pus coming out of her toenail and worrying about this infection and what antibiotics she's on and
unprofessional development. Don't eat and listen.
How the antibiotics for the ingrown toenail is aggravating the irritable bowel syndrome, and it was just, yes, I'm like, please stop. And it was literally paragraphs, daily of I'm like, the teacher or the parent rather just needed some other outlet for that. So, maybe they need to just post that stuff on Facebook or have a blog, about their kids' stuff.
I've definitely had times where I've called home and be like, hey, yeah, Joe said something bad today. And they're like, well, let me tell you his entire life story. and a lot of times it can be really helpful. And a lot of times it's also just tons of oversharing.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. So he still said a bad word. He should stop. The blame game. I want to talk about the blame game.
Okay.
So,
are you good at it?
No. Everybody loses at the blame game. So, all right. I find us, as teachers, a lot of times we need to hold a balance in things, right? There's a lot of things we got to balance. A lot of times it feels like I'm juggling. Find another circus-based metaphor for yourself.
Spinning plates?
There we go. I feel like a bear on a ball dancing. And so one of the things I think we also need to balance is the blame. Because things go wrong.
They do.
Right? Things go wrong for us every single day. And so when those things happen, I do find that there are some teachers who will, whatever happens, find someone else to blame.
It's always someone else's fault,
right?
Not mine.
Yeah, it's the kid's fault for not doing their work. It's administration's fault for not following up with the kid. It's the parents' fault, and none of it's my fault. And I find that when teachers fall into that, when they start doing that, then I think it starts to hurt them and their classroom. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we fall into that blame game, we don't take any responsibility. And then I also see teachers on the opposite side of the spectrum. I see this more with it. A lot of times I've noticed that it's also an age gap.
Mm-hmm.
I found a lot of older, more confident teachers are just happy to blame everybody else. But I find a lot of younger teachers, not always, but often, blame themselves for everything.
Yeah.
Right? So everything that happens, I messed up, I did terrible, this is all my fault, I'm the reason they failed.
At which point you show the Goodwill Hunting to them?
Yes.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
No, it's not your fault.
Yes, I find Ben Affleck to be applicable in almost all situations.
He's a genius. Youngest person to write an Oscar-winning script or something like that.
Is he really?
Yes, the
Isn't
Goodwill
Matt
Hunting.
Damon younger than him?
But Matt Damon, Ben Affleck won. I don't think Matt Damon got it. I don't know what the age difference is between the two of them. But no, Ben Affleck, anyway. No, he's youngest to win a
Best Writer.
Best Writer.
Good for you, Benny.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say it, rock solid Batman. Bad movie, good Batman.
Okay. Never saw it.
Unpopular opinion.
Okay.
From Unprofessional Development. Anyway.
Okay. Nipples or no nipples on that Batman?
No.
No nipples? Okay.
No nipples.
That makes a Batman better.
Makes a Batman better. So what I'm saying is this. When things go wrong, okay, look for the gray area, right? Just look for the nuances and just know, yeah, some of it is probably your fault. Because you made a mistake, because you didn't prepare enough. But it's definitely not all your fault. And there's some of it that's definitely systemic.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it you can apply to the school. But either way, don't get locked in the blame. Because the blame should be the last thing on your mind. It doesn't matter whose fault it is.
No.
What matters most is what's our next step.
Right.
So if you find yourself where things have gone wrong and things are falling apart, Like, just think about what your next steps could be that could make things better, because that's all we can control.
Well, you played teacher's advocate. I'm now going to play administrator's advocate.
Bum, bum, bum!
And I know that's not a popular thing to do.
Unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion again.
That's the title of this episode, apparently.
It's not always the administrator's fault either. There are times where their hands are tied, where the circumstances are beyond their control, where the person above them has told them that you have to do this and
do it this specific way.
Right, and they are under some watchful eye because they know that for whatever reason that they're being monitored on that, or that they suspect or know that there is a teacher that is continually reporting back to their boss on what they are or are not doing according to district guidelines. So there's all these things that, like, you're like, why didn't they do that?
And you don't know the private conversations they're having too. Like, oh, I wrote this kid up and they didn't suspend him. They don't have my back. Well, there's probably 20 conversations happening that we can't be a part of.
Right.
You know, and they can't tell us.
I remember, anyway, I'll share this. I had this conversation with an administrator. It made me see things through their eyes a little bit more because I was a little bit upset. So there was a young man who was, and I'm very anti-social promotion. And for those of you, do I need to define social promotion?
I sure would.
Okay. So social promotion is when kids are promoted from grade to grade or even all the way to graduation just because they're the same age as the other people that's doing that, right?
Right.
And it happens at all levels for lots of reasons. And this was explained to me, and it was a bitter pill for me to swallow. But once I swallowed it, I said, okay, I see your point. There was a kid who, he had actually failed my class, and he was retaking with another teacher. And I saw this special education teacher with this kid, who he wasn't their kid. He wasn't a special education kid, but this special education teacher had been given the assignment of basically taking this kid around to all of the classes that they were failing, having the conversation with those teachers, taking notes on what could possibly be done to pass that class, and then go back there and basically like one-on-oneing with that kid and figuring out some way to get this kid to graduate. And this kid was a rascal. Okay?
A rapscallion, even.
He was, you know.
How often does he do well? Ne'er.
But this is a kid that most people just didn't like. He didn't have it. Like, there's kids who aren't doing well that still have, like, redeeming qualities. Like, oh, that kid, he sucks at being a student, but, like...
He's not a bad person.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, he's fun to be around. But this kid was neither. And...
Tell us what you really think. I don't want you to hold back.
Well, you know, it's the kind of kid, and believe it or not, teachers say this. Actually, 3 different teachers said this to me when I mentioned the name. And these weren't teachers who were like hyper-negative teachers. Like, the word a waste came out.
Oh.
And that's horrible. It's sad to say that. I hope this kid, like, eventually redeems himself. But there's some times where that word slips out because we're human beings and we say things. But there was just...
His friend of the show, Mr.
redeeming,
Bates, says, I hope everything worked out for him.
The redeeming qualities of this kid's were buried deeply somewhere in there that were hard to find. So I'm like, why is admin, like, making this kid, like, this huge project and all this time is going in to helping them graduate? And so I talked to an admin that I trusted and had a relationship with and said, what's the deal? Like, why is you guys doing all that for that kid? He is just nothing but trouble. He goes, yeah, he is. He says, and we need him out of here. He said, there are going to be 700 freshmen coming into this school next year, and I don't know how many more are just like him. And we are over our quota of kids like that, and I got to figure out some way to keep less of them around. And so, no, he doesn't deserve all this. No, he hasn't earned all that, but, you know, he's earned probably more consequences than he's ever gotten. but we've got to get him out of here. And I was like, ugh, I don't like that. But I understand it.
It does make sense. Yeah, I mean, seeing everything from a bird's eye view is totally different, you know, looking from the top down. I mean, they're trying to play chess. And so if we're down on the ground level saying, but I liked that pawn.
Right.
I'm sad that the horsey took the pawn. Well, yeah, but you don't know what the other 10 moves involved are.
And I've also come to grips with the fact that, because it used to be like, well, I want a diploma from this place to mean something. Well, a diploma means that you, a diploma with a GPA of 0.9 means you just barely made it out and you failed a lot of classes. So that's what that actually means. And so when they walk out with that diploma and they've got a 0.9 GPA, they're not going to a 4-year college. They're probably not going to have much chance being even successful at a 2-year college. It means that they have a better chance of having a job than going to jail. That's what that means. And I'm fine with that. I don't want someone going to jail just because they suck at school. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and they're going to get a job, and if they decide at 19, 20, they do redeem themselves, and all of a sudden, like, they find something that they like or that they're good at or whatever, and then they end up being there. But I don't want them not to get a job because they don't have that high school diploma. So sometimes we have to just hold our nose and give them that high school diploma. So Tedisco, you used to be in charge of a drama club, is that right?
Yes.
So do you have some funny drama club stories you can tell us? Because then I've got a funny drama story I can tell.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Go
okay,
ahead.
So the drama club sort of started up strangely. It was at a middle school, and honestly, it started from popular demand. Like, kids just really wanted a drama club, and they knew I had a background in drama, and I'm just overly an overdramatic person.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Save the drama for your mama.
I indeed often do.
Good.
So we started.
But you
up
don't
a
have
drama
any
club.
baby mama drama.
I do not have baby mama drama.
I
don't even, or Bahama Mama drama.
No.
I've never had a Bahama Mama.
No?
No.
Okay.
Though I do listen to Bananarama. What are we talking about?
Drama stories.
Drama. So let me tell you about drama. For all my drama mamas out there.
And drama papas.
And drama Papa drama?
Papa drama.
And now this just turns into a scat album.
Yes.
Skibbity bop bop ba doo ba. So it started by these kids that just started asking. So I didn't have anything prepared at the beginning of the year. And so we just kind of like met and they played improv games. Like, well, we want to put on a show. And I was like, okay. And so we found like some like public domain scripts and things.
Mm-hmm.
And we wound up performing, some shows. And the next year it kind of grew bigger and it wound up growing bigger and bigger and bigger. The third year I was doing this, it was a large group of students, probably like 60 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, all signed up. And it was a pretty small middle school. And so I found this play that had a ton of different parts. And one piece of it was actually like a little spoof on Romeo and Juliet. And so we got all the kids together and I had them all audition and distributed these parts and we're having a great time. But if anybody's ever worked with middle schoolers, they have problems with commitment. So we started with 60 kids.
Oh, no.
And so I found a play that could work with 60 kids.
Yes.
And we wound up dwindling down to, I want to say, less than 20 by the end of it.
Oh.
So almost every week I was like, well, this kid said he's never coming back, so I guess I'm giving out new parts. And just constantly recasting and recasting and recasting.
Oh.
And worse off, the scene with Romeo and Juliet, my Romeo wound up dropping out like 2 weeks before the show. He wound up getting like...
Wherefore art thou, kid who's gonna play Romeo?
You know where he was? Baseball. So he was like, I'm doing baseball, but I still want to be in the show. And he'd check in with me all the time. And then 2 weeks to the show, he's like, I never learned my part. So, okay. So I was trying to figure out what to do. And middle schoolers are cool. I loved working with middle schoolers.
That's not true. Middle schoolers are not cool.
The ones I worked with were.
I think you have a really wrong definition of what cool is. Anyway, go ahead.
I definitely don't know what it means. That's accurate.
Yes.
So the girl I had playing Juliet, I was talking to her and like we were brainstorming, and she was like, "No, don't worry, I got this."
Oh,
And
God,
so
no.
we did.
I'm scared.
We did the scene, and so she would go down and like be on the balcony and do her Juliet scene, and then she ran around and got down on one knee and did Romeo's lines in a masculine voice and kept running back and forth.
That's awesome.
And it was
I want
honestly-
video of that.
It was probably one of the funniest parts of the show. And you know what? I recorded the whole show, and I went back and I checked it, and the recording stopped 6 seconds in.
Nice.
So I don't have a recording of that show. But all props to my girl Grace. She was a trooper.
Hysterical. That's good stuff. Well, it's not a competition, but I don't know if that's better or my story's better or not. So,
it's definitely better than yours, but you should tell it anyway. I'm just declaring myself winner.
okay. So I don't know. It's going to be more apples and oranges. But I went to school. I don't think we've covered this, whatever. But maybe that's why I'm friends with you. I don't know. I had friends and was roommates with a lot of English majors when I was in school.
I'm sorry.
I know. So they would just argue over poetry. That was horrible. But anyway.
It's called an Oxford comma. It's important.
So we'll get to the Oxford comma in a minute here.
We better not.
But anyway. So 2 guys that I knew, they had gone to high school together as well. And they were in the play Brigadoon. Do you know that play?
I know the story.
Okay. So they were in the play Brigadoon. It really doesn't matter what the play is about. But there is a scene in which 2 people are sitting at a table talking while they are sharing a bottle of vodka. So the person directing the play had gotten a bottle of vodka and emptied it, of course. So there was just going to be, and cleaned out, and it was just going to be filled with water.
Okay.
That was the plan, but they wanted to look realistic. They had a real bottle of vodka.
Right.
Okay? So these kids took care of that.
You have a spark that I don't like.
They put vodka back in it from wherever they got vodka.
Oh, no.
So they are sitting at the table and having, they're saying their lines, and they've each had a couple of shots of vodka. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure now, I wish I could ask them, at which point, how far ahead they planned this, or they just decide to do it on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
But then they went rogue, and they decided to just improv. And they literally took over the show and made the scene go about 15, 20 minutes longer than it was. I do not know why the drama person didn't just bring the curtain down.
Did the audience like it?
They don't know or care. They just know they got to sit on stage in front of 400 people while they were in high school, drinking vodka, shooting the breeze. And, just basically, one-upping each other as they are, just randomly going off on whatever they were randomly talking about. They did say that the person who was directing the play was off stage just, staring at them and, pleading with them to, stop and cut and wrap it up.
I will...
So who wins?
It's not a competition.
Oh, that's right. That's what the loser says.
It's oranges and
vodka.
Yes, it's vodka and Papa Drama. You just can't compare them. I do always make it a point on almost every single show I do to say the word Macbeth.
I don't. Oh, just in all of our episodes, you want to bring up Macbeth?
No, you don't know about Macbeth, the Scottish play.
Yes, I'm familiar with Macbeth.
So in theater, it's bad luck to say the name Macbeth.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In theater, it's like
I know break a leg.
Right, you have to say break a leg because you can't say good luck. Theater folk are very superstitious. Theater folk and athletes. I don't know why there's that weird overlap.
Performance.
Yeah, very superstitious. You don't want to catch the yips. So in theater, not only can you not say good luck, you can never say Macbeth. Even when people do productions of Macbeth, they refer to it as the Scottish play.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm learning stuff now.
And so, but I would always try to get on, director, usually the director and, like the stage crew and whatnot, they have like headsets and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I will always try to sneak on the headset and say the word Macbeth.
Oh my goodness.
Just to drive everybody crazy.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay.
Guys, we talked about a lot of things today. We laughed, we cried, we prayed a little.
Did we? Oh, hallelujah.
And I just want to let you all know, you should really share us with your friends.
Yes.
You should tell everybody about us.
Yes.
You should tell them all we're amazing. By some records, we are bigger than John Lennon. So you really need to get the word out. We are doing the best we can, but we only have so many friends, and really we don't even have many of them.
No.
And our family won't talk to us anymore. So make sure to tell everybody about us here at Unprofessional Development. Like, subscribe, share, keep listening, and tell everyone.
Thank you.
Share your funny stories with us as well.
Please, please, please. All right. Check us out in the show notes. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, well, those were our unpopular opinions, and maybe they're more popular now that we've said them. What's really important to us is that you make us more popular. We want to be the popular podcast. We want to sit at the popular podcast table. Okay? So just, while you're listening right now, go to the thing. There's like a little share thing. I know you can do it, and you just share it with somebody in your contacts, the last person you texted. I don't care who you share it with, just share it with somebody. But we do want to have big thanks. I am just ridiculously happy. We now have listeners in Canada, Germany, France, Great Britain, Belgium, India, Indonesia, and of course, America. God bless you, America, for listening to our podcast. We thank you. All right. Looking forward to next week, where we will have another Quora guest, Matthew Bates. He's such a famous guy to some of you, and some of you have never heard of him, but you will know who he is next week. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to wash your hands after listening to this podcast. Goodbye. Oh yeah. Follow us on the Twitter at UnProCast, and email us at unprofessionaldevelopmentcast@gmail.com. Is that too fast? Hit pause. Hit rewind. Play it again. Look in the show notes. You can do it. I know you can. Reach out to us. We need more funny stories. We need more funny teachers. And we just need more attention and love. Oh, all right. And just know that you are loved. All right. Have an awesome day. Bye.